Okay, good morning, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. The agenda, any additions or deletions? Shane?
Yes, I'd like to go into closed camera and talk about the regional landfill.
Okay.
And Mr. Reeve, administration will recommend the addition of 11.2, letter to the Minister of Public Safety regarding RCMP availability.
Any other? Shane's moving with the additions. Vote. Carried. Adoption of the agenda. Everybody read it?
Yep.
Richard's moving it.
The agenda or the minutes?
We did the agenda.
Oh, sorry, minutes. I just crossed off the agenda twice, that's all. Adoption of the minutes.
Good to me.
Richard moved them. Any comments on it? Oh, Les?
Sorry, if we could have a motion for each of them. We didn't have them listed in the agenda package, so there's the council meeting and the 3 committee of the whole meetings.
Okay, so this is the minutes for the council meeting then?
Correct.
Okay, Richard moved them. Vote.
I don't know why it's doing that.
That was carried?
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what the problem
Not coming up. So the next one's the committee of the whole. Do we have 3 of those then? All 3 days? Okay. 3 days, yeah. Dustin's moving the first day of the committee of the whole. Any questions? Vote.
Why isn't it showing?
And Mr. Reeve, if I could just add, while council is voting on the minutes, just point out that Ms. Kayleen Brown is now, the acting title was removed, and Kayleen is now the General Manager of Planning and Intergovernmental Relations. Congratulations, Kayleen.
If her tag gets any more crowded at the bottom, we need a second tag. Yeah. Yeah. Just look.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, that was carried. Committee of the whole, day 2, Michelle. Vote. Carried. The final day, Lloyd. Vote. Richard. Carried. No delegations, no. Right through to 10.1. Proposed trail.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve, and through the chair, the rest of council. This morning, I am bringing to you a report on the trail between Desert Bloom and Heron Crossing subdivision. Project review report was completed by staff members from the City of Medicine Hat and Cypress County administration to investigate the construction of a new multi-use trail between the city's Heron Crossing subdivision and Desert Bloom, which at the intersection of Range Road 61A along South Boundary Road. The report reviewed the feasibility of the project, cost of the project, and potential source of funding. The information was developed to help guide future decision-making and collaboration opportunities for when the city decides to advance this project. Background. The existing road is an 8-meter wide road, painted centerline with no shoulders. Speed limit is 50 kilometers in this area and then reduces to 40 kilometers as it goes down to the coulee. Poor sightlines exist in the area, making it challenging for traffic and pedestrians sharing this roadway. Heron Crossing subdivision presently has 4 homes built out of 11, which represents 30% of the developable lots. There is a trail connection in place between the Heron Crossing and the next subdivision, Canyon Creek subdivision. Desert Bloom has 4 phases, presently in approximately 280 homes, and has various internal trails connecting the 4 phases, a golf course, and connected to the city's Centennial Trail system, which runs along the north side of South Boundary Road to the city. The proposed trail would be entirely within the city of Medicine Hat's municipal boundary. The trail length would be approximately 1.2 kilometers. Feasibility of the project. The city would require land to be acquired adjacent to South Boundary Road for the new trail alignment. There is no room within the existing right-of-way. The trail is positioned on the north side of the South Boundary Road and would follow the existing terrain. Existing trail grades range from 0% to 10% entering the coulee area by 7 Persons Creek. A painted road crossings complete with signs would be installed to provide a safe crossing on the road to the Heron Crossing subdivision on the south side of the bridge. General scope of this work for this project includes design and environmental planning services, a 3-meter wide asphalt trail, drainage features along this route, sidewalk extension from the Heron Crossing to the trail, signage crossing the road, slope stability as it navigates the coulee, fencing along the trail, erosion control measures, and existing utility adjustments, and land agreements. Cost of the project. The total cost of the project with all the scope is approximately $814,000. This does not include land. Available opportunities for funding. Future grants that could be ready, internal funding, and a cost-sharing opportunity between both municipalities. Closing. City would like to take the lead on the project as it falls entirely within the city's municipal boundary. This trail ranks 77 out of 97 of the assessed locations from their recent active transportation study. City staff, therefore, has recommended revisiting this project once it achieves a higher priority in their planning cycle. Should the city decide to proceed with this project and seek a partnership opportunity, a formal request would be sent to Cypress County Council for consideration at that time. And to note, last night's meeting indicated that the city will be proceeding with a detailed design for this trail and to be ready for Q1 to provide council that information in the future to make some decisions. Reference to the strategic plan. It aligns with and enhances strong partnerships, agreements, advocacy, and communication with municipal partners, and growth and development goals. It strengthens and expands regional partnerships, recreation, and improves safety. There's 3 motions that are prepared for this. That council receives for information the project review report related to the multi-use trail between the Heron Crossing subdivision and the Desert Bloom. Cypress County Council to wait until the City of Medicine Hat Council decides to advance this project further to continue project participation discussions. Second option, that council direct administration further on this action. Third option, that council direct no further action. And I prepared, thank you for going through those slides, but that gives a general drawing and rendering of the trail. That one there in the gray there would show the existing trail at the top of the page going along South Boundary Road, which would continue on. Along the road, a new fence added, and then that's through the Desert Bloom and then heads out to the north along the road. And then this option kind of follows the road going down, which is a bit steeper. And then there's also another option looking at another gentler route coming down. So here's a cross section of the existing road. See where it has no ditches on the one side? The slope of the back slope goes right to the shoulder of the road. And this is a rendering of, if they choose that route, an improvement along the road for safety. So I'd like to open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on it? Richard?
I'll make the motion that we receive it for information. I'm sitting back here having a hard time not stirring the pot, but it is my last day, and so I thought I'd behave a little bit anyway. It bothers me when I read that costs of source and funding, land acquisition costs, completely different way of doing it than what Cypress County would do it. We would talk to the landowner first, and if there's absolutely no consideration or no interest in allowing that trail, the project is dead. So for me to see money spent before you have the blessing of the landowner, even though it's on an easement, the easement is underground, it's not above. I struggled with that because when we did the other part, the first thing we did was we talked to the landowners. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 for sure. And then we knew we could proceed. So a little bit of frustration with that. I'm glad to see that Mr. Jacobs was telling me there was, the city now knows that the land is available and there's no cost for it. So hopefully it'll go forward. 10-year project. Wow. When we did the other one, they said it would be a minimum of 2 years before anything would happen. And we said, well, Rotary has a grant of $100,000 and they needed to be spent in less than 6 months. And in less than 6 months, the trail was built. So, yeah, all right. I struggle because it's to put something off that far, but we're in a different situation, Cypress County, than the city is, and I will acknowledge that. So, but thank you for all the work.
Any other? Robin?
Yeah, just to echo what Deputy Revoster was saying, I think that at the end of the day, this is a higher priority for the city than with our county residents. I know when we originally did the first one from Desert Bloom over to Southridge, we have a lot of our residents that are, biking into Walmart and biking in and accessing some of those facilities. I love the idea of having something that's there eventually when the city prioritizes it. I would support that, and I will support Richard's motion on this one as well. But it is, when you look at the numbers and you look at recreation and the amount of our ratepayers that'll utilize that pathway for recreation, and then you look at other things that we're looking at that require investment and spending, whether it's hockey rinks or equestrian centers or whatever, there's other places that we could be supporting with some of this. So for right now, I'll definitely support that we receive it for the information and see what the city comes back with.
Shane?
I totally disagree with Richard Oster. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I'd be disappointed
Especially on his last day.
last day,
No, I agree with even what Robin just said. There's bigger things and different things than spend over 800,000 on this, where there's only 3 houses right now down the road when it's completely full. Then, we're pretty soon, we'll be looking at a trail from Dunmore to Medicine Hat. Which would be a higher priority than this one right now. So I agree with Richard's motion.
Mr. Hogan?
Thank you, Mr. To be clear, we have received no request. When we receive a request, we'll bring it back to council. And my position, and having spoke to Mr. Jacobs and to others, is we'd be recommending that we pay for 50% of the portion that runs in front of our residents at Desert Bloom. So the 800,000 is for the entire the entire piece. The expensive piece is going downhill. I'll leave it to Ken to put a number to what that 50% might be, but the 800,000 is the total project, and I'd only be recommending to council that we pay a 50% of the portion that runs in front of our residents.
Do you have a question?
Oh, a comment.
Another one?
Another comment, yeah. He's working me, yeah. One of the things that I think that also has to be looked at is the fact that that area might be developed and finished off a lot sooner. It is for the houses that are at the bottom, because it's just another reason for somebody to build, because it is connected to a trail. So for the residents and if somebody has kids, it's an attraction there. Other thing is, I do struggle with the price. We did the whole trail for $400,000, fencing and everything, versus $850. So I would hope that that's totally out of line, but time will tell. I think if we're thinking of being partners in that, it's generous, because it really doesn't do a lot for Cypress County, but it would be a good neighbor project. So, thank you.
Mr. Jacobs, putting you on the spot, do you have a number for?
When the city came up with the estimated cost, and we looked at recent trail projects around the city and greenfield similar ones, and to get the average price per meter for that type of trail. So those numbers are pretty close. The going down the hill and erosion control or any sort of stability adds costs to that. So there's a bit of a contingency in there. But there's probably half of the trail is in front of Desert Bloom, which represents about 500 meters.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? A motion on the floor to receive for information until the city gets back to us on what they want to do. Vote. She took it away. Shane? That's carried. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. 11.1.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Members of council, this proposal is regarding the October 7th, 2025 council meeting. Originally, the proposal that we were sent to council in the package was to cancel the meeting, as there was literally nothing to go at that particular meeting, and obviously, given that it's post-nomination day and just 2 weeks prior to the election. However, there are several minor things that are going to come up on that for the October 7th meeting. So our new recommendation is that, as opposed to canceling it, as the package indicates, is we'd recommend starting that meeting at 11:30 in the morning, and we should be done by probably 1:30 in the afternoon. So our new proposal, we're recommending a motion that council reschedule the October 7th council meeting to an 11:30 a.m. start.
Michelle's moving it. Any questions on it?
Would it be inappropriate to start it at the normal time and then be done by noon?
No, I think they have something set up for that day, so that's why it's 11:30.
Okay, fine.
Any other questions? Vote. Carried. 11.2.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Members of council, recently we've had several reports, one particularly documented where our peace officer has attempted to pull over an individual who is involved in criminal activity, and the normal procedure then is for the peace officer to call the 911 center, and 911 has indicated now anecdotally on several occasions, and one that we've actually documented, where we've been told that there is no officer available in your area. This is becoming an issue throughout southeastern Alberta. Our issue is twofold. Number one, we don't have RCMP in the area as much as we should have. That's a separate problem for the RCMP to solve, but it is an issue for us. The bigger issue at this point, although I'm hard pressed to say bigger issue, but the other issue for us is our policing costs have increased to this year to just a little bit over 1.4 million from 900,000. What service are we getting for that 1.4 million? The recommendation that we're making would be for administration to draft a letter to be sent to the Minister of Public Safety, the Honorable Mike Ellis, and potentially set up a meeting to have a conversation with him directly about the increase in our RCMP costs and the lack of service we're getting. If we're not getting RCMP, and we've been told by the detachment that we're looking at I think it's by the detachment, I've been told anyway, that we're looking at a 90-day from a couple weeks ago. Even our own enhanced officer is now off on leave, so we don't have, even our own position is not here. What are we getting for that money? And are we going to get a reduction in the 1.4 million that we're sending to the province that we're supposed to get? So I did have a phone call several nights ago with the Chief of Staff of the Minister of Public Safety, and we had a long discussion. He indicated he would get me some answers, and I asked some very pointed questions. One of the questions I asked was, does the RCMP contract, is that requisition to the province, is it adjusted when the RCMP is unable to meet the contracted amount of officers that are supposed to be in the province? If it is adjusted, and I'm not sure that it is, but if it is adjusted, why are we not seeing that adjustment to our own bill? Number two, if it's not adjusted, why is the province not dealing a little bit more stringently with the federal government and with the RCMP and making sure there is a reduction? And of course, number three is we're paying for a product that we're simply not receiving. We can talk about the importance of public safety, which is highly important, and we don't have enough RCMP. But to double the insult, we're also paying for not having RCMP available. I will reiterate, I do not believe this is an RCMP issue. The RCMP in the area are tremendous. They're a huge asset to our residents. The issue right now is that there's not enough of them. The province is not procuring more, and we're still being paid the full retail while we're receiving a wholesale product. So our recommendation would be council make a motion to direct administration to write a draft letter for the Reeves signature and to set up a meeting with the Minister of Public Safety.
Okay, I'm just going to add to that a little bit. I was going to do it in my report, but I'll move on with this. I received a phone call on Saturday from MLA Wright, and he was with Mr. Ellis and the Chief of Staff, and they want this letter. They understand what we're saying, they understand where we're coming from, but they need the paperwork to back it up. So yeah, we were in contact on the weekend and deal with it. So Blaine?
Yeah, I definitely would make that motion that we write that letter to the minister. Also, my question is, where are we at with payment? Because I know this is politics, and if it was me not getting a service, I would suspend my payment until I got the service. So I'm just wondering where we're at with the payment to the RCMP, or is it paid up in full to the state, or we?
I believe Paul is.
I defer to the manager of finance, just Bob. Thank you.
So through the chair to Councillor Brost, it is paid in full right now. The 900,000 was paid in full in July, I believe. So, and there was 3 invoices at the time. There was the initial invoice that was sent out end of March. There was another invoice for an adjustment with respect to assessments, and then there was a third invoice for an adjustment to population.
Thank you, Paul. So with that, with my motion, I think as this letter is drafted, I think there should be some communication in there to respect on compensation back for not receiving these services, if that is the plan.
I believe that's in the letter.
In anticipation, administration has already drafted a letter. We'd be happy to show that to council if council would like to see the letter. I think Leslie Ann, Ms. Collins has the letter.
Robin?
Thank you, Mr. Reeve, through the chair. Do you feel like this could be something that would be of value to bring up in a resolution type of form in the fall RMA convention? I know the Bear Pit provides opportunities for pointed, direct questions. I'm just wondering if something like this, I'm assuming this is not unique to us, but just curious if your perspective is that this might be a good opportunity to up the ante a little bit.
Through the chair to Councillor Kerpoint and all of council, yes, unfortunately, given that the zone meeting, Little Bow, is on Friday, we've missed the resolution deadline locally. We would have to do something for RMA and have it considered at the convention as an emergent item. I'm certainly prepared to do that. We would have to find a seconder at RMA, which I don't think would be difficult. I also don't know what, I would have to wait for a couple of weeks to see, there might already be something regarding RCMP coming we just don't know until we get and see what all the other zones have done. But I do believe that there needs to be some pressure put through RMA. I'd also have to check and see what previous resolutions are. This has probably been resolutioned similarly before, and we'd have to check that out as well. But yes, I believe that a resolution would be valuable, as well as councillors speaking from not just Cypress County, but from other municipalities in the region, speaking at the Bear Pit session directly to the minister and asking why are we paying for a product that we are not receiving.
Michelle? No, I'm good. You're good? Okay, Shane?
Through the chair to Al. I know we're paying the RCMP, but part of that funding, does that cover the fish and game and the sheriffs?
No.
Yeah, just hang on.
My understanding is our policing costs cover policing, and through that, part of that might be to the sheriff's department for traffic enforcement, but I do not believe it covers fish and game, wildlife conservation. I do not believe it covers that. I believe it's primarily designed to cover the RCMP contract. I think I'll confirm that for council, but I believe that there might be a small portion of sheriffs in there, but I do not believe fish and game is in there.
The reason I bring it up is when I was hauling hay on a secondary highway, the fish and game had a SUV pulled over. I know she wasn't hunting. She didn't have no fishing rods. And the Fish and Wildlife had her pulled over. Then when I investigated that, they can actually, give out speeding tickets and everything nowadays too.
Yeah.
I don't know, he was out in the middle of nowhere, had this lady in an SUV pulled over, and so that's why I was wondering where all our funding goes to. Is it just RCMP or the rest too?
I will certainly confirm for council. I do know that Fish and Game has had the authority to do traffic enforcement for several years. As to the breakdown in the funding, I'll find that out and I'll send council out an email when we get confirmation of what that breakdown would be.
Dustin?
Just to follow up on that, so when the DOTs turned into peace officers, so did Fish and Game at that same time, so they're all right under that same jurisdiction as a sheriff, I believe. Anyways, to what my point was, is maybe we should be looking at CCing our neighboring municipalities on this letter as well when we send it out.
Yep. Any other questions or comments?
And for council, the letter is on the screen.
Motion is for this letter to go through. Steve, did you have something?
Yeah, just on the RMA resolution, there's a number of policing and policing-related resolutions at RMA. Most recently, Thorhill sponsored a resolution at the RMA to take the funding and stop pursuing the police force that was defeated. And then the other one here was through Spirit River, and that was basically to allow municipalities to denote the collection of funds through the tax rate bylaw and identify the amount of police funding. And that's on the books until 27. I haven't found anything very particular to this item currently.
Oh. Any other questions or comments? Vote. That's carried. Robin, you have a,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reeve. A follow-up motion to that right there would be that Cypress County Council direct administration to look into if any similar resolutions currently exist, and if not, that we look into drafting something for the fall RMA convention.
any questions on the motion? Vote. Carried. 12.1, Mr. Taves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to council. Now comes the time for request for decision for the 2026 operating and capital budgets. Just want to pause for a moment and thank council, or celebrate with council the ability to roll our sleeves up and get to work for 3 days of budget deliberations of the committee of the whole. Administration believes that we are presenting this budget according to the instructions received through those committee of the whole meetings, and here we go. So the proposal is for the Corporate Services Department has prepared the 2026 operating budget alongside the 27 to 29 budgets and the 2026 capital budgets alongside the 26 to 30 capital budgets. So budget 2026 that includes projections for 27 to 29 is established to provide Cypress County with an operational strategy to support council's 10-year strategic priorities ending in 32. Cypress County will continue to maintain many critical service levels while looking to enhance various other operational activities to maximize the quality of life for all residents and producers. Cypress County's long-term strategic plans include the Water Master Plan, Road and Bridge Master Plan, and the MDP Municipal Development Plan. The coordination and alignment of these strategic plans ensure that they contribute to both the short term, today, and into the future. Further, the 2026 budget includes initiatives to support administration in data collection, kind of the foundation of us making decisions moving into the future, maintenance scheduling, asset replacement, infrastructure upgrades, and funding requirements to meet that strategic vision. Into the meat and potatoes of it, the IT replacement plan includes replacement of hardware over the 5-year plan. There's no projected replacements or enhancements in that current plan. The infrastructure and construction plan is presented the 5-year plan, and administration is requesting council's approval of all projects listed in the 2026, and for projects from 27 through 30, 10% for engineering studies of those other few, from 27 to 30. So 10% of those projects listed have 10% approved to have shelf-ready projects. One of the main reasons for that is to have both shelf-ready projects, and knowing that there's October 2027, there'll be a provincial election, and if history repeats itself, there's often funding available at that time, so we can pull something off the shelf and get to work. The vehicle and equipment replacement plan from 2025 to 29 is the plan sees $111,000 in miscellaneous equipment, $675,000 for a grader in the heavy equipment schedule, and $72,000 for a light-duty pickup truck, as well as $150,000 for fire vehicle and equipment proposed. That was the truck with the logistics position. Replacement values are updated for all units, with graders and fire vehicles seeing the largest increase. And that's increasing the plan to ensure we have the right amount of funding, that when those come due, we have the available cash to replace those. And that's where we come in and say that it's the market replacement cost as opposed to using the historical costs. Okay, so the cost and source of funding, the 2026 budget projects revenues of approximately $51.7 million with expenses of roughly $43 million. That results in a net income of $8.6 million. The $8.6 million, while it shows a net income, that money will be available for council to put into the reserves to capture that long-term strategic plan. Yeah. So again, references to some of the provincial legislation under Section 283. Council adopts the operating budget, and Section 245, the capital budget, as well as in this purchasing our internal policy of ADM 27. So just to summarize the budget document, property taxes of $40.5 million, $40.5 million. And keep in mind that number is derived from an estimate or a budgeted zero tax rate change. So with the current tax rate, barring anything, any announcement from the province that changes the policy of how we generate revenue from for the county, excuse me, through assessment and taxation, we believe that 40.5 million will happen without a tax increase, and that's what we're anticipating. Total expenditures being the 43 million, that allows us to have $8.6 million to fund for the future. That concludes the presentation, unless we're looking to jump in further on anything else, Council.
Anybody have anything? Shane?
I do. And I'm going to be the black sheep. I've had quite a few sleepless nights over this budget, and it really bugged me. And I've asked some of our ratepayers on this 58% increase in administration. I have an issue, and even talking with the ratepayers in my area, about the 7, I defended the 6 new hires, saying we needed. The 7 is up in the air, and they're saying, what are they going to be for? And I said, not sure. Where are they going to go? Because the office is getting crowded. Not sure. So them unanswered questions really bothered me. I know there was reference to a study done 10 years ago that we needed 14 people. I wish I could see that study, what it was done, or when it was done and how it was presented. And so, as if I'd accept it, if there was a way of reducing it, the administration of them 7, so it's not in the budget, because it seems if it's in the budget, then you can spend it. So, as of right now, I won't be voting in favor of it.
Dustin?
So I guess Shane kind of will lead on to the point I want to make as well. I still have a little bit of trouble with approving this budget and handcuffing a new council into it. I'm happy we did the legwork on it. I'm happy it's here and presented, but I don't think this should be approved till after election. And the reason behind that, if there is new people sitting in this room, they should have every right to make that budget for the future council in the next 4 years. I don't believe it's our job to handcuff them for a year into a budget that we've made. I think it's up to them to approve that. And by not approving it, it leaves them a say in it. And I think that would be proper procedure to go that way.
Okay.
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I had my hand up. I totally disagree, Dustin. We just spent 3 days of hard work. I thought it was hard work anyway. Learning all about and a reminder of how Cypress County operates. We had an excellent presentation by everybody explaining all the departments, explaining everything. And a new person that's going to come in, or new people that would come in, for them to have to make decisions on a budget, to me, is asking a lot. There is so much that comes with this job. And to get thrown into approving a budget the first month, I just totally disagree with that. I think you have a bunch of experienced people here. We asked a lot of the right questions. I think as existing council, it's our job to have this, the county move forward, and this budget was a big part of it by discussing it and hopefully approving it. Shane, I understand your concerns about the increase in the amount of people that we're having, but I looked for the CAO report from back in that 10 years ago. I know I have a copy of it. I was the Reeve at the time, and it was a confidential report that showed, and there might have been one that council discussed, I don't know, but the confidential one did discuss the shortcomings of staff, or that's the wrong word, we didn't have enough people doing in some of the areas to actually be efficient, so some people were doing double duty. I can remember back when Joe's position, at the time, there was like 6 job descriptions that Jeffrey, I think, did. He had a title that was even longer than Kayleen's, and it was a big overload. That man never got a break there, and there was stuff that got put off to the side. I am hoping that with the increase of staff, we'll just be even more efficient for anybody that comes through the door. Plus, our ratepayers will have more answers, and we're going to move forward. We're going to make things happen. We need the people. So it's a little bit, it's tough to swallow, if that's the right word, but I think it was proven during our discussions that people are needed. So,
Michelle?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with the new employees. These guys have done so much, and we keep expanding. We keep saying, go do this, go do that, or we want to do this. If there's no people to do it, it just doesn't work out that way, I don't think. And another thing was that we decided that we were going to do the budget before the election so that any new councilors coming in wouldn't have that stress of being expected to know what's going on when they just got here. So I'm happy with it.
Robin?
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. The reason why I was in support of doing the budget earlier on is that it was attached to the levels of service conversation, which we finally got into, which was good. And I spoke with our CAO before the meeting, similar to Dustin. I'm struggling with the idea of handcuffing, and I was reassured of the fact that, budgets can be and will be opened up and looked at. But what I do struggle with is the idea that a new council that comes in does not have the ability or the right to influence debate and discussion about something prior to it being passed. I respect where Councillor Hawk is coming from, although I do believe that the positions were justified in our committee of the whole meetings. I do think that it is something that there's, in the 8 years I've been on council, the most frequent conversations or phone calls that I get are pertaining to graveling and grading of roads, new vehicles driving down the gravel roads or being parked in the yard, and how many staff we have. And I think that it's important for us to be able to provide explanation on what the positions are, what we're hoping to achieve. And there are a couple of different options in this right here, and option 3 is that we direct council, or that council would direct administration to bring back the operating budget with amendments for the beginning of November. I don't know that that necessarily puts us massively behind the gun if we were to consider something like that, because this might end up being something that the ratepayers have some opinions on, and I don't know that it is necessarily that much in our favor just to be like, here's what we're doing and we're committed to it. And I know that we can open it up after the fact, but we need a majority of council to support opening up the budget again, and then we're just basically taking new positions that are coming in and saying, hey, thanks for running, but you only get to do three budgets because we've already established this next one. So still kind of forming my decision here on how we're going to go with that, but that's a couple different perspectives.
Blaine?
Yeah, I have to agree with all, everybody's perceptions there. I agree with Councillor Hawk as well. At the beginning of the budget deliberations, I was concerned about the cost of the budget and administration, and wondering whether that can be, or explained just a little bit better as well, just, you know, how that's actually all filled in there amongst the staff. And I also did hear through the staff's deliberations as we went through everything, you know, the need for those extra people too. So, I mean, I also did see that as well, to enhance that level of service that we've been talking about. Also with Robin, there is some other things like the rec funding isn't quite, there's a request I'd like to have on it too. So, I mean, there's that. So to actually approve it today is probably maybe ahead of schedule a little bit. I also don't quite agree with the fact that, I mean, we've had to deal with these numbers, and I don't know if it's quite fair for new people to come in, you know, right under the gun and have to improve or approve one that, you know, within 2 weeks of their election kind of thing. So, I mean, this is what we've built for the last 4 years. I mean, once they get in, if we're not all here, I mean, they've got the next 3 years to change that direction. So I do also have reservations of approving it as of today.
Did you want to add anything?
Well, I mean, we can add what I have, you know, as far as rec funding now, or we can talk about it later, whatever you need done. Okay, so yeah, I mean, as far as the rec funding goes, I mean, we talked about it, you know, with Dunmore and stuff, and I would like the Dunmore Equestrian Center to be increased to $25,000 on operating grant, as well as adding a sign to the indoor facility at a cost of $3,000 for a 3-year contract. So that would be covered for 3 years. This would compare to the other 7 major rec funding organizations that would align them a lot better. So that would be my suggestion for the rec funding. So, and as far as as far as the administration funding, I'm still sitting on the fence with that as well.
Lloyd?
Well, I can remember when me and Blaine came in the first day, and we had to approve the budget. We sat, and I'm going to tell you, I was lost in it, even with all the explanations. I'm glad we did what we did for the new people that are coming in. I think it was good. I have just like one question. I won't go back to what everybody else brought up, but I'm wondering about the maintenance scheduling. I thought it was going to stay the same, or if that gives administration the right to change shifts. Like, it's just for the roads. I'm wondering about, like, snow removal.
Mr. Hogan?
Thank you. Through the Reeve, a couple of points, and I'll answer Councillor Want's question first. We heard, and I asked the question very explicitly at budget deliberation, was council pleased with the way the roads are being managed? Council said yes. That tells us status quo will remain status quo. I was looking to get from council some sense from council as to whether or not our service level in terms of our road maintenance was acceptable, and we heard that council was very pleased. So as a result, we are going to leave what we have in place and not making any changes, because status quo was obviously acceptable to council as a service level, and we're pleased with that. On another note, I just want to address some of the percentages that are being floated around. So when you look at your budget package, you're going to see the 2025 budget. So that 2025 budget was what was presented to council in the fall of last year. council has made a dozen or more budget amendments throughout the year, including on the 3rd of June of this year, including the additional staff for this year. So although that budget amendment was $600,000, what that meant that on a 12-month amortization, it was actually 1.2 million. So that jump from 3.8 million to 6.1 million already includes baked into the cake the 1.2 million additional in salaries that are paid for the additional 6 or 7 people that were approved by council in June. So although you see a number of 58%, what we don't do very well in this business is we don't provide an accurate or a timely budget statement. What we're going to do for next year, and what we should have done for this year, we're showing you what the budget is approved by council up until the 15th of September. And the 15th of September would show you that you have actually approved 12 or 13 budget amendments. So the budget that you're looking at for 2025 now is what was approved by council this time last year, but is not what council has actually approved up until the 15th of September of this year. So you're comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges when in actual fact that you amended the budget a dozen or more times throughout the year. One in particular was for staff on the 3rd of June. That was for $600,000 for the remainder of 2025, which logical extension is that would be 1.2 million for all of the 12 months of 2026. So in actual fact, what we're asking for additional staff this year is the $970,000. It's not 2.2 million. You already approved those staff in June for the 2025 staff. So what we're really talking about is $1 million, $970,000 for the 7 additional staff. We're happy to talk to you about those staff again. We did provide explanation and justification for virtually all of them through the budget deliberation process. If there's other questions, we're happy. But I just wanted to clarify the percentages that were being quoted, and an explanation of why a percentage in the document is not necessarily a full picture and context of the whole situation. As for the question, and it'll be entirely up to council. We asked council what you wanted done with budget this year, but we were indicated to have budget prepared and ready to go prior to the election. We put in quite a bit of extra time and energy because typically it was 60 days earlier than we would have normally have done it. I would suggest to council that at any time a councillor post-election can ask to have the budget come back through notice of motion, through an emergent item, can come and sit with me in my office. I also indicated to Councillor Kerpwhite this morning when he talked to him about this, I am perfectly prepared if there is a significant change on council. Right now we're looking at 4 elections and 1 new councillor, that we would bring the budget back anyway in December if there's a significant change on council to have a new council. Let's say there was 5 new councillors sitting at the table on the 1st of November. We would bring the budget back for at least a review for the new council. We wouldn't let them go into the new year with this magical mystery document that the previous council had passed. We would certainly bring it forward if there's a significant change on council. I do not want any councillor to not understand what the service levels are, and B, how we fund those service levels. If there's only one change on council, that's probably something we can handle individually, but if there's a significant change, I would bring the budget back for review in any event.
Okay. I got a quick question for Mr. Hubbard on the rec fund. Is there enough money left over in that rec fund if what Blaine was asking for, if that was put through? Is it in there, or do we have to change the budget today to accommodate that? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so through the chair, there is enough funding in the reserve for that, for sure. If we're adding $25,000 just for this year, or just for 2026, or is this going to be reoccurring every year?
Well, that's to be negotiated or discussed later. I'm just asking if the funds are there now, that we won't have to change this budget to accommodate that if it's agreed on later.
Yeah, so through the chair, yes, we can do it, and we could tax for that easily without any issue whatsoever.
So that wouldn't affect. Yeah, we will, but the funding's there, it won't change the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Shane, oh, Keith, did you have something?
Yeah, just following up with what Michelle said, when we went into this 3-day budget preparation thing, I was led to believe that this was in preparation so that the new council wouldn't have to be scrambling to try and figure out what's going on. I mean, it's hard enough coming in and trying to figure out what's going on, and if you're not familiar, and even after 3 years, some days I struggle trying to figure this all out. So I think it's a little bit, I'm of the opinion we're a little bit unfair to the new people if we haven't provided some direction. And especially if they're going to revisit it at any time anyway, and we have, so I'm comfortable passing it, at least having a form of direction going forward.
Shane?
Yeah, just my opinion on the staffing. I know the 6, we agreed with in June, when going through the budget, I could come up with the 6. The other 7 positions and where they'd go, where they'd fit, and I think that other 7 positions need more discussion.
Robin?
I guess where I'm at right now is I agree with what everybody said in that the intention of it is to have a lot of the legwork done, and to what Councillor Ritz said, so that we're able to provide something to incoming, and I think that we're doing that. And in response to what CEO Hogan mentioned about, the availability and being prepared to, have a conversation come December, is great. I just wonder what's better to have a conversation in November or in December. And, if we are providing this as, council's direction, something that we've discussed, there's been 4 comments of just kind of concerns surrounding the finiteness of passing versus recommending, versus, having something come back as an amended budget so that people are able to at least contribute their thoughts after the fact. I'm kind of leaning towards that coming back as amended in November personally, and then allow everybody that's out knocking on doors to be able to just and explain, because we did get an acceptable explanation, I believe, in the budget meetings on the 7 FTEs, but I couldn't repeat it right now. And if I'm going door to door, and I know a lot of us are going to be, this is going to be made public knowledge. Okay, council, passed this budget. What are these positions? How does this work? We, I think, are in a position where we need to be able to defend that and defend it well. And it very well may become an issue that is important in the election to be able to explain, justify, or it will be used against us as well if we can't. And so the risk right now is that we try passing a budget and then it doesn't pass, versus saying, hey, you know what, let's come back. These are the amendments we'd like to see in the rec funding side for the Equestrian Center, and that we bring it back early November as a recommended budget from current council, having gone through all of that. There are options. I'm still not sure.
Okay, I haven't spoke yet, and you can go after me. Oh, well, you can do it right after I'm done. So everybody said fair statements here, but you can't, I'm going to be blunt, you can't make it that you are worried about your election because of the budget. When people come into this as new, Keith said it, I did it my first year, you're deer in the headlights when you're looking at this. Unless you've got a few years' experience trying to figure out the budget, you're praying to God that the people that are there know what they're doing and they're not trying to put anything past you because you don't know what the heck's going on. That's why a few months ago we sat down as a group, we all decided here, let's do this, let's do the committee of the whole, we all changed our schedules to do that committee of the whole so that we could get this budget done before the election. Do we have to explain some of these positions? Yes, we might have to our ratepayers, but they were explained to us in those committee of the holes, and we accepted them at the committee of the whole as we went through step by step. So to postpone this and say that we should push it off till November, I have a hard time with that. I think we're doing the right job for the people because we've been through this already. We understand what's going to come up for new people coming in. It's not that we're trying to protect them, but I guess we are trying to protect them because they're going to be confused for the first little while. And as Al said, if something's there and they need to bring it up and they need to open it up, he's not scared to open it up for anybody that needs information or needs any examples. So everybody else spoke. I figured I should maybe say something there, but Richard, you had your hand up.
I look at it and I don't see any new information coming down the road in a month, 2 months, or 3 months. So I am going to make the motion that we accept, where the heck is that, the operating and 26 operating capital budgets with the amendment of the rec funding to the Dunmore Equestrian Center. Did you want the amount in there?
25,000, yes, the amount, please.
With the $25,000 funding.
No, don't get carried away.
No, I'm just going to keep it simple, that we accepted the budget where it was, and an addition of the $25,000 to the Dunmore Recreation Center. Or Equestrian Center, sorry.
Mr. Reeve, for clarity for administration, because I do believe there was another request that Councillor Want has not spoke to yet. That's the $50,000 to the Elkwater. We did meet as council's direction. We did have meetings with the staff at the park. They have a 4-year, I think a 3 or 4 year program. I told staff I wasn't comfortable coming to council with a 4-year number. I think that's something the new council should discuss in next year's budget. But their ask is for a road overlay for $50,000 for 2026 budget and to do some work in Elkwater in 2026. So I'll just throw that into the mix. Councillor Wan hasn't spoke to it yet, but if we're going to be making amendments to the motion, I thought that might be something that could be added to that if council was good with that.
And I thank you for that. I was going to talk to you when we had a break about it. When we discussed this on the very last day, when it was all done, I phoned Wes Yeoman the next day and talked to him and explained about how it was going to work, that it had to come to council to get approved and what we agreed on. And he told him that he should be talking to Mr. Hogan about it. And then the other day, Ken was telling me that they had a meeting yesterday, I guess, and I would like to see the 50,000 for 26, and then we can talk about the rest. And strictly for infrastructure for the town site, as we have been doing for the last 4 years.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would be more than willing to add it as number 2 amendment. So 2 friendly amendments, one for the Dunmore Equestrian Center and the 50,000 for the road improvements enhancement at Elkwater.
So I just want one clarification on the equestrian center. No, we already give them 5, do we not? 2,500? So it's up to 25,000, not 27,500. 25,000, up to 25. Okay.
And through the chair, Councillor Brost had also mentioned $3,000 for a sign inside, and I don't know that that was addressed in the motion.
No. Don't push the envelope.
Can that not be found in community enhancement funds or something like that?
Through the chair, we can certainly look for it. I did attend the heavy horse competition on Saturday, and it was pointed out to me that we don't have a sponsorship sign in the building. And I think the sign is $5,000 for 3 years, that the sign stays up for $5,000 for 3 years.
I think we should leave that and add that as a separate item, and, you know, as we go forward throughout the year, I mean, that can be a request for the next council or whatever, but I think to enhance the rec funding, the way I felt it should be, I think it's fair to add the 25,000, and we'll deal with the sign request down the road. I think it's too confusing and too complicated to add the sign. The sign's kind of a separate project, in my opinion, because it's a contracted thing, which can be addressed later.
Robin? Oh, sorry, Michelle. No, go ahead.
All right, I just want to speak to this before I'm done. I know that the comment about us worrying about our own elections, I'm not worried about my own election. I'm worried more about the optics and the principles, and the tone that I'm hearing right now in justifying this is the protection of the new councillors coming, that this is going to be so overwhelming. And I'm bothered by that, to be completely honest, because I think that implies that we're better equipped, and I think that, you know, we make the best decisions that we can, but we forget the fact that we're making a decision that starts in January for funding for councillors that are being elected within a month, and I'm really struggling with the idea that we're doing this to protect them. Versus us saying, you know, here's where we're at, here's what we want to do, this would be our recommendation, here's how we would move forward. But to claim that we're doing this for them, I think is disingenuous. I like the idea of the Equestrian Center. I think it's going to be a great thing. And if Elkwater's got projects, I think that too is awesome. I get that the motion's been made already. I feel like I need to vote against this, mainly for the fact that I think that this should be something that is deferred until November. I think that's where I'm at right now.
Michelle?
My question is about that sign. Didn't we give them money for a sign at one time? Oh, that was an outdoor arena. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Motion's on the floor with the two. We are recorded.
No, it's not.
Are we live?
No, it doesn't matter. It has to be recorded.
I believe Councillor Vossler was requesting a recorded vote, which would be noted in the minutes.
Okay. Any other questions? Vote. It's carried. 5 up there. Okay. Moving on to correspondence and information.
Can we have a break?
Yep, 5-minute break.
we still need to.
Okay, call the meeting back to order. 13, Mr. Hogan.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve, members of council. 13 is the correspondence that the county has received in the last couple of weeks since the last meeting. You'll see some RCMP, the provincial policing report, letter from Staff Sergeant Cordy, the Red Cliff Provincial Detachment Crime Stats, East Ring Enhancement Project, the thank you letter from MLA Wright, and the Kinbrook Connection Pathway Grand Opening. I would add that the MLA invited several of us to Eagles Nest Ranch a few weeks ago. I had never been to Eagles Nest Ranch, and tremendous facility for the county, and we are very pleased that it's here. We are going to be working with them a little bit as they try to move into a bit more of a commercial operation. We will work with them in terms of bringing them into our economic development fold and doing some advertising and making sure that their facility is known throughout the region and the province. So if there's any questions about any of those letters, I won't have much information because they're just information letters. I also would like to take this opportunity, as this is really our last council meeting, a couple of minor things at the next council meeting, to say thank you to all of council. As some of you, by the time we have our next meeting, we will know for sure what the election roster looks like. Some councillors will return, some will not. Maybe all will return, but we know that for sure there will be one change on council. I'd like to thank those councillors who have put their name back up for re-election, and for those who are running, thank them for their service to their community and their willingness to put themselves on the line for what they believe is the better good. I'd like to thank this council. It's been my honor to have spent the last 10 months working with this council, and I'd just like to thank you all and wish you all the best. For those that aren't returning and for those that are returning, onwards and upwards, thank you very much from myself and administration. It's been our pleasure to work for this council, the 21 to 25 Cypress County Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Does anybody have any questions on the correspondence? Keith is moving the correspondence. Vote. That's carried. Okay, Reeve and Council reports. Yeah, it's been busy. I did the ribbon cutting of the women's shelter. That was a good one. I was there with the Premier and Justin Wright and Minister Turton. I knew I was going to forget that one. It was a good day. We were there, and then we actually met up again out at Eagles Nest. Like Mr. Hogan had said, it was a good evening. Michelle was there for that too. It was a very, very good day. Attended the fire hall re-grand opening on the weekend. Cypress View Finance meeting this week. Everything's pretty good there. IMC attended that. Again, I already went through this. I did get the phone calls on the weekend from Mr. Wright. And we dealt with that on the weekend. Other than that, signing checks, and it's been busy. Start with Shane.
Yeah, just attended the budget meetings since the last council meeting. Had the regional landfill meeting yesterday that I'll discuss more in depth in closed. And yeah, just looking forward to our upcoming South Region Ag Service Board convention that we're going to be having here beginning in October up at Eagles Nest. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, a few phone calls about roads and miscellaneous stuff. Fire danger.
Michelle?
Yeah, it's been busier this month than it has been all summer, actually. I had the committee of the whole meetings at the beginning of the month. Had a Cypress View policy meeting. an FCSS board meeting. I also attended the Dunmore Fire Station grand opening, as well as the women's shelter, and went out to Eagle's Nest. Had a ratepayer ask in my area if I was Commissioner of Oath, and that if I would sign paperwork for her, so I did that. Yeah, and that's about it for the last couple months, phone calls, and yeah.
Actually, it's been a very busy month.
It has.
There are three days in the budget meeting there. I attended to Dunmore for the opening there. We had an MPC meeting on the 9th, and then on the 13th went to the Dunmore Fire Hall for their re-grand opening. And of course, yesterday we had a good meeting in the Red Cliff landfill. And then very few phone calls, but it was busy.
Mr. Kirpyway?
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Attended the IMC meeting, which was okay. The grand opening for the Equestrian Center, which was really, what a beautiful building. And I think that there's going to be some exciting things happening there with Little Britches and the different events that they have. Was able to attend a breakfast with MLA Wright and Minister Turton and some of the executive directors there the morning after you guys were out in Eagle's Nest. That was nice. I would like to add, Mr. Turton's got a good hairstylist, so we kind of got along good that way. But in addition to that, yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah.
Mr. Olster?
I went with Dan to the women's, do I have to call you the Reeve? No, not my last day. I went with Dan to the women's shelter grand reopening, and I got a comment that Premier Smith took Dan a little bit off to the side and asked him basically what was going on in the county, if we needed anything, any questions. He spent quite a bit of time talking about Cypress County, and I thought that was really good of her to spend the time with Dan and be comfortable with him. Then we did drive to Eagle's Nest that night, and Michelle was quite fortunate. She got to sit with the minister over dinner, and I'm sure gave him some ideas or answered some questions. Yeah, so that was great one-on-one. On Saturday, I attended the Dunmore Equestrian Center's new building opening. I got to give Councillor Blaine a pat on the back. He did a great job representing the county. He had a nice speech, and I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was asked by a city resident walking around inside, is this building going to be any kind of conflict with the Stampede Grounds buildings and what they do out there? And I said, I didn't know, but I was walking back over to the other arena for a minute, and a longtime member of the Stampede Board thanked me for the support of council and all that we had done at the center. I asked him if there was any conflicts of interest. His reply was that this type of facility could not be built in Medicine Hat because there wasn't enough available land on that site, and was quite pleased with what had been done out there. So that kind of felt good to know that this is a good project, I guess, is for lack of words. I went to the Chamber Business Advisory meeting on the Tuesday the 9th. They always ask me about Highway 3, and I mean, we don't have much to report because we just don't know much at the time. I did phone the chair, Gord Reynolds, Mayor Gord Reynolds, and all he could basically say was that they're not going to open up the road until it's all done, and he's expecting that would be sometime in August, September of next year. And consultants are working on the other part. We were hoping to hear a little bit more, but talking to Ken, he said maybe next month there might be some conversation and be able to bring something back to council, which again will go back to the ratepayers. And then Friday, September 12th, attended a PEP meeting in Brooks. That's always interesting because some of the communities that are there, the hamlets, towns, they talk about their housing starts, and there's been a lot of impressive housing starts. Bow Island has really done well. Bazzano is now doing some more expansion. Brooks has got lots going, so there's good movement, and so people are moving in to those hamlets and helping them grow. So, and I think that's about it. So I guess I could comment. Thank you for all the good years that I've had here. It's been a great, I call it a job. Most of the time I went home pretty happy. Sometimes I was frustrated, but that's just the job. So it was great working with everybody. Thank you for the experience.
Thank you. Blaine?
Yeah, thanks, Reed, Dan. Been busy in the first part of the month, meeting and budget meetings. They were quite intense, and went home with quite a headache most days. Then on September 6th, on behalf of Reeve, Dan, and the rest of council, and thanks for the support of those that come out to help share it with us, we opened the Dunmore Equestrian Center, and to go along with what Councillor Oster had said, received many good comments from ratepayers as well as people from outside of the area of what a great facility it is, and for the young and old, it was well attended. The grand opening, and as everybody knows, that's not really my forte at all, but I enjoyed it as well. So, other than that, been pretty slow.
Dustin?
Thank you. Other than the budget meetings, been pretty hard in the harvest for me, and have received a few phone calls on some random stuff. Did get the opportunity to tour what I believe to be the first potato storage building in Cypress County, which is a pretty cool processing facility they have going on there. So that was pretty neat to see. And I guess, Richard, I'd like to say thank you for your 12 years you've served, and it's been an honor to do it with you, even though I know we've butted heads and not got along a lot of times, but it's, dedication on your behalf, and, I think the municipality appreciates you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ritz?
So, budget meetings, council, and a PEP meeting in Brooks. Listened to a presentation on Rural Connect, which we've had at council. Talked at length about being the program that PEP is promoting export readiness for the Japanese market, and it's good to see the college pulling up and contributing and helping out in that area. Talked a little bit about, Arnold Dirksen talked a little bit about a bursary, setting up a bursary of some kind to support vet training, and because I think by understanding the university is doubling the capacity for the students, so we'd like to see some more local kids take advantage of that and then come back to our communities. Mayor Boylan gave a Highway 3 twinning update, and that was that meeting, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Keith. Mr. Ritz? Jeez. Hard time using last names today for some reason. Any questions on the reports? Dustin's moving the reports. Vote. That's carried. Okay, I guess we're going in camera now. Keith is moving to go in camera. Vote. Have a good day, Les.
Nice to see you here, Adam.